Hello, friends. If you are 65 or older and you still drive, there are rules on the books right now in 2026 that can take your license away, and most of them have nothing to do with how well you drive. In Pennsylvania alone, over 27,000 medical reports are filed to the DMV every single year. About 22% of those end in recall of driving privileges. Not a warning, not a restriction, a recall. And in Illinois, a rule change taking effect on July 1st, 2026 is about to redraw the line on who needs a road test and who does not. The problem is, none of this is explained to you. The renewal notice arrives. The fine print does not. Hello, friends. Grab a pen right now or open the Notes app on your phone because this one works state by state. I am going to walk through 6 rules, and on each one I will tell you the state, the age trigger, the form, and the exact step. At least one of these applies to you or someone you drive to the pharmacy. Mark the ones that match. If none match your state, stay anyway, because the medical reporting section in the middle catches people in every state at any age, and it is the one almost nobody sees coming. Now, these rules shift at the state level, quietly, usually buried inside a DMV page update or a legislative footnote. Your state does not call you when the renewal rule changes. The people subscribed here find out in time. Subscribe now and let's get into it. Before we go further, I need to address something, because people hear a title like this and sort themselves into one of two groups immediately. The first group is comfortable. Clean driving record, good health, maybe a paid-off house. And they figure this video is for someone older or someone struggling. The second group is on a fixed income, and they have learned to assume the helpful programs and the easy workarounds are always for someone else. Both of those assumptions are wrong about at least one of the items I am covering today. And on every single one, I will tell you exactly which group it helps most and why. Here is what we are covering. The Illinois road test rule that changes on July 1st, 2026. The vision standards that matter more than a road test in states like Florida. The quiet short cycle and in-person renewal traps in Iowa, Arizona, and DC. The medical report pipeline that can pull your license into review, even if age was never the trigger. What happens when a license actually lapses? And then the backup plan that protects your ID, your rides, and your independence before the crisis hits. Stay to the end, because that last section is the one that decides whether losing a license means losing your independence, and it is the one you can start fixing today. Number 1. The Illinois road test cliff. Here's what most people get wrong about Illinois. They hear the law changed, and they assume the road test is gone. It is not gone. Not yet. And for some of you, it will not be gone in time. Right now, today, June 14th, 2026, if you are 79 or older in Illinois, you are required to take a driving test to renew your license. That is the current rule. On July 1st, 2026, a new law takes effect. Under that new law, drivers 79 to 86 will renew in person and complete a vision test, but no mandatory road test. Drivers 87 and older will continue to renew annually with a vision test and a driving test, and a written exam may also be required depending on the driving record. Here is the trap, and this is where someone I heard from got caught. A woman I will call Elaine, 82 years old, retired school secretary, living outside Springfield, Illinois. Her license expired in late June 2026. She heard about the new rule and assumed she could just wait until July and skip the exam. What she did not know is that the key date is the expiration date on the license, not the date you walk into the facility. Because her license expired before July 1st, 2026, she still needed the road test under the old rule. If your Illinois license expires before July 1st, 2026, you are under the old rule. Period. Here is who this helps most. This one is for the comfortable group. The driver with the clean record, the good health, the confidence that renewal is routine. Illinois is the correction. Renewal is not routine when your birthday pushes you past a threshold you did not know existed. And here are the renewal cycles to mark down. Drivers 81 to 86 renew every 2 years. Drivers 87 and older renew every single year. The Illinois State ID card for persons 65 or older is free, and I will come back to that later. Your action step. Check whether your Illinois expiration date falls before or after July 1st, 2026. Call the Illinois Secretary of State Driver Services line. Inside Illinois, the number is 800-2528-980. Outside Illinois, 217-785-3000. Use the exact words, "My license expires before July 1st, 2026. Do I still need a road test, and which facility should I use?" That is number 1. Illinois is the headline state. The next section is the one that catches people who never expected a road test at all, because it starts with your eyes. Number 2. Vision test states and what they actually check. Most people assume older driver trouble starts with a road test. In many states, the first gate is not a road test. It is a vision screening. And if you do not pass it, the road test never even comes up. In Florida, drivers 79 and younger renew every 8 years. Once you turn 80, that drops to every 6 years. And here is the part that trips people up. Florida drivers 80 and older who are not eligible for online renewal must pass a vision test. The minimum standard is 20/70 in either eye or both eyes together. If one eye is blind or 20/200 or worse, the other eye must be 20/40 or better. The forms to know are HSMV Form 72119, the Mature Driver Vision Test, and HSMV Form 72010, the Report of Eye Exam. In California, every new and renewing applicant must pass a vision test. The standard there is 20/40 with both eyes, or 20/40 in one eye and at least 20/70 in the other. That is not a senior-specific rule. It applies to everyone. But for viewers preparing for a renewal at 70 or 75 or 80, it means a current eye exam is not optional. It is the first step. Here is who this helps most. Both groups. Whether you are comfortable or fixed income, if you still drive and you are approaching a renewal, the vision standard is the first thing to check. Not the road test, not the written exam, your eyes. Now the money. The Florida Class E renewal fee is $48. The tax collector office may add a $6.25 service fee on top. Spread that $48 over a 6-year renewal cycle, and that is $8 a year. Over 18 years, that is 3 renewals, $144 total before any county service fee. The fee is not the risk here. The risk is showing up without a current eye exam and failing the screening on the spot. Your action step. If you are 80 or older in Florida, check your online eligibility at the Florida MyDMV portal and determine whether you need to submit a vision test this cycle. You can renew up to 18 months before your expiration date. Use the exact words, "I am 80 or older, and I need to know whether I can renew online or whether I must submit a vision test this cycle." That is number 2. And once you understand the vision rules, the next trap is even quieter. Some states do not just test you more, they make you show up more often. Number 3. Shortened renewal cycles and in-person traps. The misconception here is simple. If you renewed online last time, you assume you can do it again. In several states, that assumption breaks as soon as you cross an age line. In Iowa, licenses for people over 72 are issued with shorter renewal periods set by law. And here is the detail that matters. The fee schedule specifically identifies 2-year licenses at age 78 and older. The Iowa Class C fee is $4 per year, so a 2-year renewal is $8. Over 10 years from age 78, that is 5 renewals, $40 total. The fee is small. The trap is the cycle. Every 2 years, you must show up again. In Arizona, drivers 65 and older renew every 5 years with a new photo and a vision screening. The fee is $10. Over 20 years, that is 4 renewals, $40. And the Arizona ID card for people 65 and older has no fee at all. In DC, the renewal notice arrives 60 days before expiration. Drivers 70 and older may renew in person or online if eligible, but online renewal requires something called the Mature Driver Fitness to Drive certification. In-person renewal requires physician certification plus a vision test. Miss that certification, miss the appointment, and you are driving on an expired license, which DC does not allow. Here is who this helps most. The fixed income group. This is the viewer most likely to rely on online convenience and get caught by a certification requirement or an in-person mandate they did not expect. Your action step. If you are 70 or older in DC, you need that Mature Driver Fitness to Drive certification before your renewal. In Iowa, set a calendar reminder every 2 years starting at 78. In Arizona, schedule a vision screening before every 5-year renewal. Use the exact words, "I am 70 or older, and I need the Mature Driver Fitness to Drive certification for my renewal." That is number 3. Now, so far this sounds like an age story. You hit a birthday, a rule kicks in, you deal with it. The next section is where that assumption breaks, because your license can be pulled into review even when age was never the trigger. Number 4, the medical report trigger that can bypass age entirely. I need you to hear this one carefully because it changes what you are watching. Everything I have covered so far is tied to a birthday. You turn 79, you turn 80, you cross 72 or 78 or 87, and a state rule activates. This one is different. This one is not mainly about age. It is about a diagnosis, a doctor's reporting duty, a family member's letter, or a police officer's observation, and it can happen to a driver at 55 or 65 or 45. In Pennsylvania, healthcare personnel are required by law to report qualifying impairing conditions to PennDOT within 10 days. That reporting duty does not apply when the condition is expected to last less than 90 days, but anything beyond that window triggers the report, and the scale is not small. PennDOT receives over 27,000 new reports each year. About 22% lead to recall of driving privileges. Another 21% lead to restrictions. That is not a rounding error. That is an enforcement pipeline. Consider a retiree named Robert, 76 years old, retired machinist, living outside Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. After a neurological diagnosis expected to last more than 90 days, his family assumed the doctor would just keep an eye on it. But under Pennsylvania law, the provider had a 10-day reporting duty to PennDOT. Robert then had to respond to the medical review process instead of waiting for his normal renewal cycle. This was not triggered by his age. It was triggered by a diagnosis and a legal reporting clock. In California, the DMV must follow up on a dementia report with a driver medical evaluation. Drivers with moderate or severe dementia will have their privilege revoked. Drivers with mild dementia must attend a re-examination, take a knowledge test, and may be asked to take a special driving test. If satisfactory, re-examination is scheduled again in 6 to 12 months. The phone number for the California Driver Safety Branch is 833-543-7703. In D.C., a written statement from a family member, a law enforcement officer, or a physician can trigger a medical report requirement. Failure to provide the follow-up reports within the physician's time frame can lead to suspension. Here is who this helps most, and this is going to surprise the first group I mentioned. This one is for the comfortable retiree, the driver who is not worried about renewal, not worried about vision, not even thinking about DMV rules, because everything has always been fine. A single medical event, a single report, and the entire renewal timeline resets around a process most people have never heard of. The system does not explain what a medical report sets in motion. It does not walk you through the forms. It sends a letter and the clock starts. Your action step. If a medical review has been opened, identify the exact form and response path immediately. In Pennsylvania, contact PennDOT's Medical Reporting Center. In California, call the Driver Safety Branch at 833-543-7703. In DC, check the DMV Medical Requirements page. Use the exact words. I need the status of my driver medical review case and the exact form or report still required from me. The Pennsylvania clinician reporting window is 10 days. Do not wait. That is number 4. And once that medical review starts, the calendar matters. The next section is what happens when a license actually expires or gets pulled. Number 5. What happens if a license lapses, and how to protect your ID. Here is the misconception. If you miss a renewal, you figure you will just pay a late fee and sort it out next month. In some states, the penalty is not a fee, it is a test. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets to come back. In DC, if your license has been expired for more than 365 days, you are required to pass a knowledge test or complete online traffic school before you can renew. If it has been expired for more than 545 days, you need both a knowledge test and a road skills test. And at any point while that license is expired, you may not drive. DC does not give you a grace period behind the wheel. There is one protection worth knowing. DC drivers 70 and older may receive a 45-day temporary license during the renewal process to allow time to obtain the physician certification. That 45-day window exists specifically because the state knows the medical paperwork takes time, but it is not automatic. You have to be in the renewal process to get it. Now, here is the part that matters most to the second group I mentioned at the top, the fixed income viewer. Losing a license does not have to mean losing your legal photo identification. And losing your ID can unravel things fast. Pharmacy pickups, bank transactions, boarding a domestic flight, proving who you are at a dozen places that never used to ask. In DC, the senior non-driver ID for people 65 and older is free. The regular non-driver ID is $20 every 8 years. That is $2.50 a year you do not need to spend if you are 65 or older. Over 16 years, that is $40 in waived fees. In Illinois, the state ID for people 65 and older is free and may be non-expiring. In Pennsylvania, if you are a driver who was required to retake the exam and could not pass the driving, knowledge, or vision portion, PennDOT issues a free photo ID card. That is a narrow rule. It does not apply to everyone. But for the person who just lost their license through a medical review or a failed retest, it means you walk out with a valid photo ID at no cost. In Arizona, the ID card for people 65 and older carries no fee. Here is who this helps most, the fixed income group. When a license disappears, the ID card is the fallback that keeps everything else working. Pharmacy, bank, social security office, doctor's office. The ID is the floor. Your action step. Apply for a non-driver ID before or during the same visit where your driving privilege is uncertain. Do not wait until after the license is gone and you are scrambling. DC DMV, Illinois Secretary of State, Penn DOT, Arizona MVD, all offer the process at the same office. Use the exact words. I want to apply for a non-driver ID now, so I do not lose legal photo identification if my license is not renewed. And remember the DC lapse thresholds. 365 days triggers a knowledge test. 545 days triggers both. Write those numbers down. That is number 5. That is the crisis version. The last section is the prevention version, the plan that protects your ID, your rides, and your independence before the bad letter arrives. Number 6. The backup mobility plan before the crisis hits. This is the section I told you to stay for, and here is why. Everything else in this video is about keeping the license or managing the process when the license is at risk. This one is about what happens to your life if the license goes away, and whether you have already built the floor underneath you. The misconception is the most human one on the list. If the license goes, the life shrinks. The doctor's appointments get harder. The grocery runs depend on someone else's schedule. The independence that a set of car keys represents just disappears. That fear is real, but the gap between losing a license and losing independence is not automatic. It depends on whether you built the plan before you needed it. There is a national resource called the Elder Care Locator, run by the Administration for Community Living. It connects older adults to local services, including transportation, and the number is 1-800-677-1116. That is a real phone line staffed by real people who can find the area agency on aging in your county and tell you what rides are available. Some counties and local aging networks offer free or reduced cost rides. I am not going to promise that is true everywhere, because it is not. But the Elder Care Locator will tell you what exists in your specific area. The Administration for Community Living also runs a transportation service finder that directs older adults and people with disabilities to local transportation and support services. Senior centers funded through the Aging Network can include transportation as part of their programming. These are not theoretical. They are funded, operating programs, but they do not come looking for you. And here is one more. In Pennsylvania, drivers 55 and older can receive at least a 5% vehicle insurance discount after completing a PennDOT-approved Basic Mature Driver Improvement course. The actual dollar savings depends on the person's premium, so I am not going to put a number on it that may not match your situation. But if you are 55 or older in Pennsylvania and you have never taken that course, you are likely leaving money on the table every single renewal cycle. Here is who this helps most: both groups. The comfortable retiree needs this plan because confidence is not a transportation strategy. The fixed income viewer needs it because a single missed medical appointment due to no ride can cascade into a health crisis that costs more than any car payment ever did. Your action step, and this is the exact word script for this video. Call the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 or visit eldercare.acl.gov. Use the exact words. I need senior transportation options in my county and the area agency on aging that handles rides. One call, 2 questions. That is it. And you can make that call today, before any letter arrives, before any review opens, before any license is at risk. That is number 6. So here is the full picture. The Illinois rule that changes on July 1st, 2026, but still catches people whose licenses expire before then. The vision standards that matter more than a road test in states like Florida and California. The quiet, short cycle and in-person rules in Iowa, Arizona, and DC that turn a missed appointment into an expired license. The medical report system that can pull your license into review even when age was never the trigger. 27,000 reports a year in Pennsylvania alone, 22% ending in recall. The lapse rules that turn a late renewal into a knowledge test, a road test, or both. And the backup plan that protects your ID and your rides before the crisis. 6 rules. Every one of them requires you to know it exists and take one step. The DMV does not simplify the age rule for you. The renewal notice does not explain every medical trigger. The doctor's office does not always explain what a report sets in motion. The online portal does not promise you are eligible this cycle. The county does not assume you need an ID fallback. The ride options do not come looking for you. Keeping the legal right to drive and actually making it through the renewal and review process are 2 different things. The gap between them is information, and that is exactly why this channel exists. Now, picture one person, a parent, a neighbor, a church friend, a spouse over 65 who still drives and assumes renewal will work the way it always has. Share this with them, not because they are failing, not because you think they should stop driving, because the rules may have changed around them, and nobody in the system is going to sit them down and explain it. Subscribe, share this with someone you know who still drives and is over 65, and I'll see you in the next one.